Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, checking in with a weekly garden tour. I'm way off schedule, however, today is the last day of August, and I thought, well, this is the perfect day to post a garden tour from my Zone 7 Central North Carolina garden so that you can see how everything has progressed through the height of the summer. I can't believe that we are now going to be like 20 days from autumnal equinox. And of course, my fall open garden is on Saturday, September 24th, which is right around the corner. And I'll confess, I'm starting to freak out that time is passing too fast. But let me turn this camera around so that we can all take a stroll together so that you can get an awesome preview of how the garden looks as we close out the last full month of summer. Well, we have been getting pretty consistent rain, and the last couple of weeks were cooler than normal. We are back to feeling hot, but that's fine. I'm not ready to feel like fall, and the plants have really jumped. I mean, it's pretty amazing. These sesame are definitely taller than I am. I did expect that to be how it would work, but to actually see it, it's so funny when I scatter these seeds and it looks like nothing in the middle of June to now. I've been sending Savannah, my summer intern, photos. She's back at college now and she's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But this front border has really come together nicely. I don't really think I'll be doing any more edits to it. I'm just kind of let it be. I have to say, though I didn't plant any of those castor beans, I'm so glad they're there because they give a really important color and texture contrast. So there's something to be said for some plants that, have good seed banks. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with castor beans because they can be really aggressively self-sowing, but in this case, I'm really thankful to have them. And knowing that I didn't actually do that just makes it that much more magical. And speaking of magic, these self-sown zinnias are just, all day long, they're covered in pollinators. Different times of day, different insects visit. In the morning, these are all swallowtails. It's awesome. And across here, I love this zinnia. Now, this is not self-sown. This is one that I did plant. And this is the Queen Lime Red. And you can see it's just a really extraordinary color. I think it's one of the most beautiful flowers ever. I have a few other Queen Lime colors to show you. They're all starting to bloom. Remember, these were planted relatively late. I think this got done like the middle of June, but I have others that were planted the middle of July, and they are just now starting to bloom. Which I'm quite relieved by because that means they're going to look good for the open garden. You can see this border is doing really nicely, and of course the phlox continues to be a swallowtail magnet. When I'm having a bad day, I can just come out here and stand and get some of my stress relieved through watching these beautiful creatures in action. So as I pan the wave, I'm really happy that the pumpkins are really starting to fill out. So I know in a few weeks it'll look really, really cool. It's just my goal. Even the shady side though is doing really well, and it's those carrots. And of course the carrot foliage is food for the swallowtail caterpillars. I don't see any right now, but I'm sure I'll have another generation soon. You can see where caterpillars have come through and, eaten whole stalks of the carrots down. And that's definitely the main reason that I grow as many carrots as I do. Carrots are really inexpensive and easy to buy organically at the grocery store. I'd rather grow them for the purpose of ecological value rather than exclusively for me to harvest the roots to eat. there's just no denying I am 100% obsessed with these Seminole pumpkins. So you see that silver mottling on the leaf, that is not mildew, that is like intentional variegation. They are resistant to squash vine borers, which, you know, take out all of my squash and zucchini. Although actually my zucchinis are looking really bad now, not just because of squash vine borer, but also because of root knot nematodes, which also proved to be a huge problem in this former tobacco field. But I'm really encouraged to see big runners like this that I can just kind of direct however I want to be able to come through and fill in this sort of open space here. And I know in 3 weeks time, these grow fast. In 3 weeks time for the open garden, this is gonna be solid. Here in the shrub border, the calycanthus are starting to really get berried up. This is a cuminata, which is always the latest to show color. But over here, the Welch is pink. This is transformed significantly since my last garden tour. Really, just, I think it's such a charming color. I really like this soft pink. But lots more calycanthus to come. I kind of have calycanthus spread all over the garden. I really like that. Both the native and the Asian species are all worth growing, in my opinion. Over here, I am just so incredibly impressed with this oak leaf hydrangea. This is from First Editions, and gosh, I'm like, you know, I'm starting to put orders together for the blank slate over here. I can start wrapping my head around this more so now than ever. And I definitely want to include more oak leaf hydrangeas. I'm a little bit worried about putting them out in this full sun blank slate space. And actually, that's one of my biggest concerns about the native shrub selection that I currently am looking at. So I've certainly explained this before, but for anybody new, my existing garden here, I built in 2011 when I was the propagator and grower at Camellia Forest Nursery. And it's primarily plants of Asian origin. And I decided when we purchased this next door property that I would expand my plant palette and grow things that I don't have as much experience with and focus on North American natives. And as I do more and more research, which is like what I do when I can't sleep at night, I'm getting more and more nervous about this site of, you know, I always say, like, there's nothing really native about our residential landscapes. Like, you know, all the native stuff has been taken away, and we've built these houses. And in my case, this is a former tobacco field. It was a tobacco field for like 80 consecutive years. And all the native shrubs that I'm like really passionate about wanting to grow need to grow in more shade than what this offers, which is no shade whatsoever. It's in the shade when the sun goes down. So I have a little more work to do, but I'm very excited because I am going up to Asheville this weekend to visit Carolina Native Nursery and kind of pick out the plants that I want them, that they are going to deliver for me. So I have to like get my act together because it's just a few days away. So I will make a video while I'm there. I'm really excited because Bill Jones, the owner of Carolina Native, is gonna like explain all about the plants and how they produce them, and so I think it's gonna be really special. But yeah, I'm excited and super nervous, which was precisely how I felt about doing this first installation of the all sand perennial bed. So let me turn the camera around and give you an update on how that's doing. So I did just water it because I can't help myself. I'm sure it didn't need it, but nothing was wilted. I haven't lost very many plants. I've lost a few things. Like I think that Eupatorium, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with it, but you see the other two look fine, so it's probably okay. Some of the Asclepias tuberosa like completely lost their foliage, but then I think maybe they will flush back out. Let's see. The Solidagos are great. The Pycnanthemum, baptisias, penstemons, the muhly grass I transplanted. All the salvias are like so happy to finally be planted. They were in like rose pots all summer in my greenhouse. The echinaceas are starting to put out flowers. Over here I lost one salvia, so I have a little hole right here. But I have a couple of echinaceas in my garden that I'd like to transplant here, so I think that is totally good. Yeah, overall, I'm really pleased. I think Reginald likes it. I did do an overseeding in this bed, and I don't see much germinating. Although maybe this is something that I tossed down right there. That's right, point it out, Reggie. But we'll see. I think it's been too hot for the violas to get established, so fingers crossed they will germinate, although realistically these plants will grow out and there won't be open space. Certainly by next year at this time you won't see any open space between these plants. At least I hope not. All the containers here look great. Of course the bench area over there is sort of bodacious and wild and awesome. So I have booked some classes through the Airbnb Experience app because, well, I don't know, I'm just giving it a try. So I've booked 2 classes for November 12th and November 19th, both Saturdays, 2 to 4 p.m. How to grow a spring cottage garden from direct seeding. And my goal is to teach those classes from here. And I also have the Airbnb available for booking. So if you're out of town and you want to come and visit and take a class, you could actually book the house and, you know, make it a really cool, exciting weekend. So all of that information is in my monthly newsletter that is going out tomorrow on September 1st. And that's actually the reason that I wanted to make sure I put this video out today. So if you aren't signed up for my newsletter, which I promise you only get one a month from me, sometimes I skip a month. It's the easiest place to get all of my information in one spot. I'm not really great at marketing. I have a degree in horticulture, okay? I do the best I can. I'm not really a professional at communications. But my newsletter is the place where all the links are super easy to find. So if you're interested in any of the programs that I'm doing, both traveling and here locally, all the registration links and everything are included in my monthly newsletter. So you can actually sign up for that on my YouTube page, but I've also included a link in the description of this video. So I hope that maybe some of you will get to come out for, you know, either open garden or some of the classes. I'm even doing a sip and stroll, which I'm really excited about, because who doesn't want to drink some wine or some beer or some iced tea and walk the garden and just enjoy yourself on a beautiful October night. That is Wednesday, October 5th. And that is also through the Airbnb Experience. So when you click the link, you actually have to sign into Airbnb in order to be able to register. So back to the garden tour. You can see the live wall is rocking. The rice is in bloom. It's already setting seeds in these smaller pots. This seed is actually basically ready to be harvested. I'll do a video just on rice. I have been doing some editing of castor beans just to give other plants some light and some air. And I've been pulling out ugly looking zucchini plants, which I have a fair number of. I still have some good ones that were sown later. These roots broke, but the zucchinis that I pulled out last week, you know, not only do they have borers, and you can see there's the juvenile stage of the borer. They, look at all of them, good grief. And then a little panting kitten. He's the least heat tolerant cat I've ever had. He does love to play outside. But the nematodes are definitely wreaking some havoc on them. But that's okay. I'm just taking this opportunity to clean up the borders. You can see like where they were growing out and David couldn't mow. So that'll be nice to just kind of clean up these edges, and I'm gonna come up with something to plant to fill in these open spaces. I've been debating on whether I should do something from seed or if I should treat myself and go to a garden center and buy some plants. I haven't been to a garden center basically all summer long. I didn't even get to a garden center in the spring. So maybe I'll get to treat myself, go plant shopping. So a very exciting discovery earlier, and I have a video just about the monarch caterpillars, but I want to show you them here too. I found these earlier today, and I mean, it just completely changed my mood altogether. So I found them all over the yard on various milkweeds, different species of Asclepias. It just, wow, what a way to close out August. So happy to see these. I think it qualifies as dog days, and this is really the time of the year where I try to get out here and actually like sit in the feed tank at 4 o'clock because it's so hot out and it feels so good. And you know, the point of the feed tank is to enjoy it. I showed you all last week these epic basil plants. I just trimmed a huge amount off, and what I do with this basil is super simple. I literally just hang it upside down in my spare bathroom, in my bathtub, and let it dry for like 2 weeks, and then I put it in a coffee grinder and grind it up, and that's how I get my dry basil every single year. So all of this is destined for the bathroom. And there is Ava Grace gracing us with her presence. The pineapple sage is really growing strong. It's a plant I love, and I frequently forget to get this, so I'm glad I got it this year. And this bed, you might remember, I did sow some seeds in here about 2 weeks ago, and I'm really happy to report that the seeds are germinating. So I've got nasturtium, and you can see the wildfire lettuce is germinating all throughout, and the nasturtiums that get more shade look much better than the ones in more sun. So there you have it. And I'm really pleased that that mid-August seed sowing is coming to fruition, and just, you know, helping fill in some of the open space in this bed from the dead zucchinis. Well, you can see here that the black madras rice in these pots is starting to flower, and I just think it's so elegant how it looks. Again, I'm not growing this for the purpose of eating. When I started growing rice, that was my goal, but I don't know, maybe my ambition is just less now. I'm getting older, I'm less ambitious. We've gone through a pandemic. I choose my battles. I just think it's so beautiful. It's ornamental, and it's difficult to find like from online seed suppliers. So for me, my motivation is just to make sure that I have seed to be able to grow every year. And you know, I hope that that's something that you are gleaning from my videos, is this kind of perpetuation of growing a plant, collecting the seeds, so that you can be more self-reliant as a seed sower. The phlox just keeps on going, really and truly. I think I have decided that next door I want to do a phlox trial. So I want to gather a bunch of different varieties of phlox and then plant them out to see how they perform, but also to see which varieties are best for pollinators. Because I was so impressed with Bright Eyes, and this is my excuse to collect phlox. So as we come across here, the other seeds that I did in that mid-August seed sowing, again, there is the wildfire lettuce mix growing well. And the calendulas are doing great. You can see lots of germination there. Unfortunately, the salpiglossis, I don't have any germination. Hi, there's my neighbor puppies. Hi guys. You can see neither of the salpiglossis have shown any germination. But the different varieties of calendula are all growing. No germination in the forget-me-nots yet, but the strawflower has indeed germinated. So, with any luck, those things will keep growing out. I have decided that this is too shady for tomatoes in the summer because, well, the bananas are just too effective and it's no longer a full sun space. So this is full sun in the winter and full shade in the summer. Now you can see my favorite tomato of all time is cream sausage. And I got these planted super late, but look at how happy and healthy they are. So this was planted the last week of June, which was my goal for tomatoes. And if I had put those other ones that are behind the bananas in more sun, they would look awesome too. So I'm gonna stick with this for next year. I'd been questioning myself, but as I look at these cream sausage with lots of tomatoes coming and they're flowering, and I mean, here we are the last part of August. We really don't get a hard frost until usually the mid to late November. I have plenty of time to still get a decent harvest of tomatoes in. Over here, the lemongrass is amazing. And there are more monarch caterpillars, hot diggity, eating the Asclepias here, which is precisely why I have it. You see a nice big one right there. Oh, it just makes me so happy to see those. That Gerber, a daisy, just keeps on rocking. That is a terrific plant. I wish I knew the name of it. And I really think this border has come out well. I love how the sweet potato just sort of meanders through and plants can come up in between the leaves of it. And cutting back that salix was a really great thing. But can y'all believe this pepper? This is a single pepper plant. I don't remember the variety, and I have a feeling it's probably some horribly hot thing that my body will instantly reject. But its stature is so impressive. So that's really nice. And over here, all of this stuff is doing great. You can see the tomatoes are just like, I think they're so happy that it's finally almost not summer. They look so bad. And you can see like the old foliage from like July and early August. You see it's all yellow and speckled. But then all the new growth is so happy. It looks like what tomatoes look like in the north all summer long. But we don't get that until, you know, the end of summer here in North Carolina. Now, the border that the camp planted is definitely where I'm like most excited. And I have been having the Orbit Yard Enforcer hooked up at night, which has made a huge difference because the deer that were coming in and eating the okra to nothing are leaving it alone. I currently have it attached to a sprinkler because I did sprinkle today, but I need to hook it back up tonight. So yeah, this okra is all recovering. I do still have some big open space here, which I'm just sort of trying to talk myself into going plant shopping. So I think I will, because that would be nice to fill with something. And I have no idea what, because I haven't been to a garden center in so long. You can see these squash are starting to show, I think really, this is the sign of nematode damage. More so than squash vine borer, though I think they have both. I mean, you know, I didn't treat anything with BT, so that's my fault. I will try better next year. That self-sown Kufia patch is so nice. And the buckwheat, oh, the buckwheat. I just can't say enough about buckwheat and why everyone should grow it. But look at the buckwheat mixed with the queen lime orange zinnias right here. Actually, I'm gonna walk in this bed. You see there's a big pond there. And there's all these frogs that just like leap in whenever I come through. That is queen lime orange, and I really like it with the white buckwheat flowers. And you see it's scattered throughout this bed, growing really well. I'm also really happy to see I've got at least a few cosmos. It's always my dream that this bed is gonna be just like a sea of cosmos and buckwheat and zinnias. And the last 2 years that didn't really happen, but at least it's starting to happen now. And I think this bed's gonna look really good for September 24th fall open garden. As we make our way around this way, here's a really spectacular example of that queen lime orange zinnia. And I did some serious editing of self-sown castor beans in here because I didn't want the okra to get completely overshadowed. Still don't have any okra flowering yet. It did get planted very late, but I'm hopeful that I will. I love okra, so I'm really disappointed in myself and that I haven't had an okra harvest yet this year. And that was primarily because I got COVID and I just was too sick to garden. Here you can see the pink buckwheat. This is one that I've gotten from Baker Creek Heirloom Seed that the NC State camp sowed for me. And I'm really pleased to see that's blooming. And really that should be outstanding for the open garden. Of course, panning across to the compost pile. It's actually quite a pretty scene, particularly because of all the major pruning that we did about a month ago. Just really brightened everything up and made it so that this pathway seems like you can actually walk on it. So here on the property border, I've just sort of enjoying it for what it is, knowing that I have some editing to do. I need to not let all of these castor beans go to seed, or this problem will just continue to perpetuate. But I love the sesame in bloom, and I really do like the texture of the castor bean, and of course the texture of the sorghum adjacent. So overall, I'm really quite pleased with how this border has come out. And I'm gonna end the tour over here in the fire pit where the succulents just look so awesome. Oh my gosh. And I've been harvesting lots of produce from here, lots of eggplants. In fact, I see an eggplant that I can harvest for tonight's dinner. We are going to have pasta primavera, my first vegan recipe. Since I have gone completely dairy-free as a result of my alpha-gal infection. Still getting used to my new diet, using fake products. Not all the fake cheese is worth your while. I'll just warn you on that. Well, as always, I hope you've enjoyed this week's garden tour, and I do hope that I will see at least some of you at the Fall Open Garden on Saturday, September 24th from noon to 4 p.m. Remember, it is a rain or shine event, no registration, free to everyone. We will have a tent because usually it rains when I throw a large event. And also, if you want to keep in touch and know what I have going on this fall and, throughout the year, be sure to sign up for my newsletter so that you can have one easy place to access all that information. If you, like me, use Gmail, it will inevitably land in your promotions folder. So be on the lookout for that on September 1st in the morning. I think I have it set to go out at like 7:45 a.m. Well, I hope you all have a fabulous week, and I'm wishing you the best for the new month ahead. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I look forward to sharing another update next week.